Slaptail Squad, assemble.
This is the Slaptail Squad, and if you're listening to this, you are members of the great Slaptail Nation and our friends, and we thank you for listening. I am the Beaveman, master of the universe, general of the great Slaptail Nation army, and creator of all things great and small. Great, like the probable amount of debt that Ronz is going to go into fixing that car of his, and small, like the 1.9% financing he could have got on a brand new Subaru. And with me today is my number two, the Ronz.
Hey, how you doing, Beatman? How you doing,
Pretty
Swan?
good. You sounded
Doing
pretty
good.
cool there. You
I
sounded
know
He
I
did
have.
kind of sound cool.
Thank
Did he
you.
get some sleep, Ronz? Maybe he's cool because he got sleep.
I got about a 20-minute nap in.
All right. Well,
Alrighty.
also with us today is the Swan. Say hello, Swan.
Hello, Swan. And you
And
just
I would
yelled
just
at
like to-
Ronz for eating, and what is he doing right now? Chewing.
You can't
I
hear
just saw
it.
you. How do you know? Did you mute your mic?
I'm not chewing on it.
What are you doing with it? Just putting it in your mouth?
Yes.
He just put it in his mouth. Just put it in your mouth, Ronz. Put
There
it
you go.
in your mouth. Let those enzymes work by putting it in your mouth.
Ew. Don't you remember that song?
Honestly, I don't have to chew a whole lot of stuff. It's a.
He's on a soft food diet.
I just
it's-
swallow it. It comes out just the same way, but
It's just a piece of like cake, or what do they call it? Pound cake or sponge cake?
you like pound
Angel
cake?
food cake? He likes pound
Do you
cake.
like
Yeah.
pound cake?
I like cake in general. That's why
Do
I
you like
have
pound
friends
cake?
with, right? So
Do you like pound cake?
I like pound cake.
Well, you can take that cake and pound it up your ass.
There you go.
Ayo.
So
Hi-yo.
I got a question.
Do you like
right?
crackers and jam?
I do.
Well, you can take those crackers and jam them up your ass. Hi-yo.
Hey, so I'm looking for friends, female friends.
Oh,
for
that's good.
God.
Yeah,
What? You're looking
yeah.
for female friends.
Yeah,
What the
'cause
fuck
I want
is going on?
I want FWBs with them.
I don't even know what that. Ew.
Friends with
Ew.
benefits?
Ew.
Yeah, that's what you would think, but it's friends with birthdays because I get more cake that way. Hey-o, because I like cake.
Oh boy.
I
don't
don't
Oh,
know.
like
by the way,
cake.
I want to know what the
all
SWAT
I'm gonna do,
thought.
yeah, but see, now all I'm going to do is I'm going to isolate that sound clip that you just said that you want FWBs, and I'm going to play that over and over again.
I love that. But what did you think I meant, Swan?
The same thing that the Beaveman just said.
No,
Because
you said I don't know what that is.
Yeah, you
You
said
immediately
yeah.
said I don't know what that is.
And then I dissected it and thought about it and knew what it was.
Because I worked
wouldn't
honestly.
think your brain went there, Ronz.
Now, first of all, let me explain something to you. I worked on that joke. I kind of tried it out on a few people, and the majority of the women I told that to, right, didn't know what FWB was. Now, one person said, "Fat white bitches," and I'm like, "Okay, no." And only one other person came up with friends with benefits. I said, "No, friends with birthdays because I like cake." All the
So his cake eating was just a lead into his bad joke.
It was.
That's why you brought the cake into the
most
store?
women didn't know what FWB is. Why is that?
Good thing that we
know.
didn't try to stifle your comedy, Ronz.
Oh no, not at
And
all.
so that's a joke that you actually worked on?
Just a bit. But my question is, do women not know what FWB means?
I mean, what's
better
the
question
genre
is,
that
have you ever
tested
had
this
that?
out on? Like 5-year-olds at the Rojo, or like
Whoa,
grown-ass
let's not bring
married
that part
people?
there. No,
Grown-ass
let's leave
married people
the.
who shouldn't know what FWB means.
Yeah, and I really don't think you should be asking that. Oh, in what context are you asking people that question? Is this with friends, or are you asking it at work, or are you asking it at the dojo? Because if you're asking it at those two places that I just mentioned, probably not appropriate.
No. I'm asking it from random people on the streets. Hi, it's
Even-
Ronz, the random question ask guy.
Oh.
Right. So I figure pretty much I'll ask that.
Hi, it's Ronz, the random question ask guy. That's a great title that you came up with yourself.
I
there.
did. Thank you. Right. So
I prefer cringy moments with Ronz.
Cringy.
Wow.
Now it's time. And now it's time for
with
Cringy Moments with Ronz. Brought to
go.
you by Anal Lube.
Yes.
You ever wonder why anal
The
lube is called
product
anal lube?
use. The product use is in the title.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. So I've been trying to work on a Sam Elliott voiceover too, so it's not going to go so well. Because it's sort of like everybody can do Matthew McConaughey, right? All right. And that kind of gets grating on your nerves for a while because that's what everybody does.
Everybody. Everybody does it. I don't think I've had known anybody that.
You really live a sheltered life.
I probably do.
I'm very concerned for you sometimes. Because do you ever see the world outside just where you live?
Probably not.
Okay.
No, probably not.
That's because what's most interesting is happening right inside this house.
Yeah.
And what is it? What is the most interesting thing other than the Beaveman, which is the most obvious answer?
That is the obvious answer, and that is the correct answer. Anyway, Ron, you didn't even comment. You didn't even comment on the great and small.
He just glossed right over that.
Were you not paying attention to my intro?
I guess I'm so used to your intro that
he just ignores it. He's just waiting.
No,
he's like just sitting there waiting for his cue. He's like, I'm just waiting for my cue. Waiting for my cue. Oh God, can't miss it. Can't miss it. Number two. Listening to my number two.
I guess I'm so used to your intro and you babbling on about it. I may have missed it. What was it about?
But the greater than and smaller than changes every single time. It's like the intro that you want to listen to. It's like a hook.
Oh, like
and you missed it. You missed the hook.
Like
Ron.
how I did that on the Facebook page or something like that, and I got scolded for putting stuff in there and I try to change it up every week, but still have it kind of tuned into the way it was to the podcast.
Okay, you know what, Ron? You really truly believe that the stuff that you contributed to the Facebook page was
value
whatsoever?
I'm going to cut you off right there.
It was fucking horrible.
It was hilarious. Thank you.
Illiterate.
It was not illiterate. It was hilarious.
And let me point out this to you.
Hilarious.
I get so tired of having to edit out shit like you chewing, you yawning, all that other stuff. Editing out the bullshit that you write and pointing it out. Revoking your privileges, which is what
you're the only one that got upset over my little privileges.
Because it's my project. If you're not doing it right, you're thinking I have no right to get upset over the crap that you do that reflects directly on my project?
I always admire you. I always admire you.
Anyway, and if you want to talk about stifling comedy, you know who stifles comedy?
Meatloaf?
Take a guess. Ronz.
No, I don't.
You sit there.
Do.
Oh, yes, you do.
You didn't even listen to his comedy bit about you. You were so busy trying to find out where you think you heard it before from. And you're like, that reminds me of blah, 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 blah. And you didn't even listen to it because you were so busy YouTubing while you were.
But that's not the only time he's done it. I've gone back and listened. He does it every time I do a comedy bit. He's like, oh, instead of commenting on my comedy bit, he goes, this reminds me of another comedian. And then you go to that comedian like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't have anything to do with that. So if anybody stifles comedy on the show, it's you. Instead of actually listening to the content, you're already thinking about, oh, maybe I should comment about this instead. Other people are laughing, but you're going, oh, it sounds like this. And then you try to say it sounds like something, and then you listen to it like, it doesn't sound like that. You just wanted to say that it was something else.
He likes to hear himself talk.
I think he just waits for something to say. Yeah, I understand that. But I'm going to say this. The one who's stifling the comedy is the Ronz. No, if you'd have listened, what I said was, and I say this every time, creator of all things great and small, but I say what's great and what's small. And what I said was great, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember exactly what I said, but I said great like the amount of debt Ronz is going to go into over this used car he bought, and small like the financing he could have got on a brand new one.
Do you think for a moment I was going to let you at any time over that situation get to me? No, because
What does that have to do with getting to you?
Hold on. I'm getting there. It's been a really crappy week and you jabbing me at that is not going to be happy. And I'm trying to get over the shitty week that I've had, and you just
But why have you had a shitty week?
let me
Why
finish.
have you had a shitty week?
No. I'm not going to go there just yet. Right?
Oh, see?
I'm
Not
just,
just yet. Saving it.
instead of just being the whipping boy that I can be, I'm just not going to let you. So when I
It's not a
defend,
whipping boy. We tried
hold
to
on.
help.
I
We
know,
tried to help. No,
I know,
no,
but
no. We tried to
when
help you.
hold on, but when I defend myself, or at least not acknowledging, I get put into a corner. And maybe
No, what
you're
we
right.
asked
Now
was,
hold
did
on,
you listen? No, no. Oh, I can move you like this.
no.
See, there we go. All I have to do is say
I
this.
see your
What I
lips
said
moving.
was, you didn't even listen to what we said, but now you're saying that you did. So either you did or you didn't. What we said was, did you listen to what we said? And you said no.
Did
So were you
not.
lying?
He did not listen. Let him unmute him so he can try to
He's
defend
unmuted.
himself.
I am
He's
unmuted.
unmuted.
I just chose not to let it get to me.
But
Okay,
you
but
said
that's
you
but that's not
didn't
what you
hear
said.
it. You said you
You
weren't
said you didn't hear it.
listening.
I did
And
hear
that's the only
that. I
reason.
just
And
kind of
that's the
zoned it
only
out.
reason. That's the only reason why we repeated it. See, what you could have said was,
I'm
"Yeah,
not
I
going
heard
to
it,
acknowledge that.
but I'm not going to acknowledge that," and that would have been fine. But what instead you said, "No, I didn't hear it." So therefore, we had to repeat it.
He just likes to cause arguments. He's like, I didn't listen. Nope, I wasn't listening. But then in fact, he was listening.
Well, I don't
Yeah,
like to cause
instead of
arguments, but I can see where you're right. You're
wait a
absolutely
minute, you
right.
don't like to cause arguments. I think that you do. So instead of us just having like a laughing,
So
fun,
instead of me
joyous
agreeing with
time,
you, instead of me agreeing with you and saying, B-Man, you're right, but I've had a crappy week, but you know what? You're right. I did listen, but I acknowledge that I didn't, maybe because it went over my head for whatever reason. Whether you want to buy the excuse or not, that's entirely up to you. I get it. But instead of me going, you're right, you're going to beat me into the ground about this. And, you've done it before. Every time
all we
hold
said
on.
was, "Did you
I feel
listen
like
to
you're
it?"
beating yourself
Yeah,
into
you're
the
beating
ground
yourself
right
up.
now.
Because
Yeah.
there are times where I've said, you know what, you're right, and you will just pound it into the ground like a cheap whore that I am, right? And I do listen. What? But
He's a
that's
cheap
sort of
whore.
right. And then on top of that, you've got the swan in your corner, right? And we both know she will flip flop. So right now you're winning, so she is on your side. If I had Tremonde here, I think she would flip flop over to my side because Tremonde would probably back you, but Tremonde is the peacemaker. And he'd say, maybe the Ronz meant it this way. And then she would go, yeah, maybe he did. But you're right, right?
I
You're
really think
absolutely
that
right.
you could have just said, "No, I did
You're
hear
right.
it, but I
You're
chose
absolutely
not to."
right.
But
You're
instead, what you said
absolutely
was, "No, I didn't
you're
hear it,"
ab-
which
you're
forced us
absolutely
to
right.
repeat you.
You're
And we could have
absolutely
just
right.
moved on, but you
I'm
didn't want
trying
to.
to, but you just won't let go.
But you didn't
You're
want to.
absolutely right. No. You're
Are
Oh
you
well.
wearing your hot yellow today so that we could see you brightly?
No.
Did
no,
you have
I-
an emergency situation this morning?
No.
No? Okay. Just checking.
I'm wearing my Ninja Turtle outfit.
Oh.
But he does like to move the mic, as you can hear.
He does.
Every time he
Yep.
every time he hits that, it makes
I
a noise.
apologize for that.
I hate unsolved mysteries. This might be something that you guys don't know about me. Do you guys like unsolved mysteries?
I don't like them. I like to have
Yeah,
a conclusion.
in a way I do, because I like to see where it can lead me down a road where I may have not thought about that or the ending or a
So
conclusion.
you like something without an ending? I like no ending. I like no closure.
So you like those choose your own adventure books when you were a kid, but
Yeah,
you
I
never
did,
finished
actually.
them? You're like, nope, I'm just gonna leave it right here. I'm never gonna get to the conclusion.
Well,
Wow,
not in the
hilarious
sense,
analogy, Swan.
Well, I'm just saying.
not in the sense of that. However, with the universe's mysteries of where does what's at the other end of a black hole. I
That's not
like.
what I'm. That's what I'm not. That's exactly what I'm not talking about.
You're saying
You're talking about science. You're talking about something that we don't, in something in the world, in the universe that we can't explain, or we theorize about. I'm talking about unsolved mysteries, like this person went missing and we don't know where they are.
But isn't that the same as you could theorize what may have happened or what will happen or what did happen?
I mean, I'm pretty sure figuring out what's on the other end of a black hole is a little bit harder to figure out than
I
what happened.
agree. However, if a person went missing, you can weigh all the evidence and come up with your own hypothesis.
Yeah, but wouldn't you want to know a conclusion? Like, even if it's a bad one, like they found them dead,
Once again,
not
it's a
still missing.
mystery. It's a mystery, and if they do solve
Okay,
it, that's
whatever. He says
fantastic.
that he likes it. Okay, well, whatever. He said that
He
he
likes
likes them. I
unsolved
don't like them.
mysteries. I don't like them either because I
My
like
point
even if
being
it's
this. I'm not so sure that there really are that many unsolved mysteries if you can come up with your own decision on what actually happened.
so you want to make up your own decision.
Yeah,
even if it's
I've decided I'm going to make up my own for when
okay.
things are unsolved. I think from now on, I'm just going to make up my own.
Okay, do you have an
ending.
example of that? Like,
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you have an example of that?
All right, so here's a good one. All right. And Ronz, you know about that. Do you know the name of that theory that the government made a deal with the aliens that they can abduct us and do things to us from like the national parks, and then either we're never seen again or we get dropped off somewhere? Have you ever heard that conspiracy?
Not at all. Not until you mentioned it.
So I've heard this conspiracy before, and I thought it had a name. And I was talking with the boy about it also, and he's like, "Yeah, I've heard of that." He's like, and he said to me, if you look it up, you can't find the name of that conspiracy. You can't find it anywhere." And I'm like, "You're right," because I looked it up because I thought it actually had a name to it, and I figured there would be lots of sites devoted to it, but there isn't. It actually, what I was doing search terms like, deal that the government made with the aliens to abduct us, and you would find stuff about the deal that the government made with, the Native American tribes and stuff. I'm like, how's that the same thing? That's not the same fucking thing.
It kind of reminds me of that weekly world newspaper, like the National Enquirer. Then there'd be the Weekly World News, and my husband's an alien, or I married a werewolf, but he only changes to a werewolf on the weekends, kind of thing. You ever see those in the checkout lines?
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
they have
like-
them in the checkout lines
No,
anymore.
they don't have them
Like
anymore, but it
years
kind of
ago.
reminds you of that.
Weekly World News is online. It's pretty much all online now.
I used to love reading those.
And
Did
now it's
you-
not even. And now they don't even try to make it like news stories. Now it's just totally ridiculous.
So what happens if you just put in like alien abduction? Does that give you anything?
I want specifics. I
Oh.
want the alien abductions. You'll get about a bajillion
Yeah,
hits.
but maybe it'll narrow it down to that somehow. I don't know. I never heard of it like that, but I always thought aliens were creepy, and when I would close my ears whenever I heard of that stuff. But you always heard about people who said they got abducted by aliens and they got anal
I'm
probed
looking
and
very
brought back.
specific.
I know
very
you're
specific abductions from national parks.
okay.
Very specific.
Okay,
And
well,
I'm telling you, there is a theory. There is a conspiracy theory, but you can't find anything on it. So I'd have to
maybe
do
it's
way more
hidden.
searching to find it.
Maybe it's classified information in Area 51 or all those things that maybe it's locked by the government or the aliens or both.
All right. So on August 15th, 1958, Bobby Bizup, age 10, was fishing down by Cabin Creek while attending summer camp at St. Malo Retreat, a camp organized by the Catholic Church. There's a red flag.
There's one. Yeah, right
Yep.
there.
At approximately 6 p.m., a camp counselor approached Bobby and informed him it was time for dinner. The two of them walked down the hill back toward the camp, the counselor noting Bobby was just behind him, yet when he reached the camp and turned back again, Bobby was gone. They searched for Bobby, couldn't find Bobby. They looked all over for Bobby. They called people in to try to find Bobby, and they looked for him. And here's the sad thing. Back in 1958, they looked for Bobby for I think it was, 9 days. Don't quote me. And they gave up. And the family
That's
was like, yeah, we
awful.
lost all hope. We lost all hope. Bobby's dead. So they didn't find Bobby.
They probably had 10
anywhere.
other kids, so they just were like, well, one less kid to feed.
That's really cold.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
But anyway, so
so they said an estimated 300 people searched over 16 square miles, never found him. And then the following year, 3 camp counselors found his remains 3 to 3.5 miles away from the camp and 2,500 feet up Mount Meeker. but yet they had searched that same area several times. And not only was that creepy that they found his remains, they didn't find all of his remains. They found pieces, parts, bones. But this kid was deaf and he wore a hearing aid. And they found the hearing aid like on a rock with some of his bones in his clothes. And when I saw that, and this was in this really cool documentary that you can watch for free on YouTube by David Paulides called Missing 411. It's based on the books that he did, the Missing 411 books, which I think would be fun to read. But as soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, that looks like an altar to me. That looks like some sort of alien grabbed him, or some sort of Bigfoot grabbed him or something. And they have their little ritual and they put like offerings of him up there after they've eaten him or something crazy like that. So that's what I've decided. Instead of being, because all he had to do, he was supposedly following this counselor. Counselor looks back. He's there. And all they had to do was walk down the hill to get to the campsite. He turns around, kid's gone. They find him 2,500 feet up, 3 to 3.5 miles from the camp, total opposite direction. So all of a sudden, this kid turns around and walks the other way.
Yeah,
Now,
what 10-year-old is going to go wander off like that? I mean, I don't know. I'd be scared as shit to wander off.
Well, especially since he was just told to, come on, it's time for dinner, follow me.
Yeah. I don't.
So I immediately thought one of two things.
And what was that?
I thought the camp counselor killed him. That's the first thing I thought. No brainer. And I know this is a bad thing for me to say, but the first thing I thought was camp counselor molested him and killed him.
I knew you were going to go with there.
Camp.
I knew you were going there.
Catholic camp.
Yep.
And I thought it was a little bit strange that if they searched all these different areas, then they find him that following year. As the creepy part to me was it was his little, what do you call it? The ear things.
Hearing aids.
His hearing aid, little beats of bone, etc. That far away from where the camp was, and in an area that had been searched several times. So either why would they move the bones back there? And this is why I think that maybe they didn't do it, but why would you put the stuff back there and then go discover it? That doesn't make any sense either.
That seems a little weird.
So when your UFO sanctioned by the government fall into the Project Blue Book area?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not familiar with Project Blue Book. I'm talking about I don't know.
You're not familiar with Project Blue Book about the U.S. investigation into UFOs?
Oh, yeah, I know about that. I don't know what the name of everything is, but yeah. But I'm talking about specifically, I'm not talking about their investigation. I'm talking about a deal they made saying it's okay to abduct us, that you get to abduct so many of us in exchange for tech.
Huh? Okay.
So the iPhone came from aliens or what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had a major jump in technology in the past 20 years.
Yeah, but do you think that's because it exponentially
we're smarter?
Better?
Because we're smarter?
Yeah.
Oh,
no, that the use of technology grows exponentially because it just does. Because it's getting better and better.
Because it just does.
Because it does.
Are you talking about Moore's laws where we double something every...
Yeah.
Okay. That's about an idiot thing, but okay.
Ooh.
I kind of want to believe what the Beaveman says about where, not to the extent where we're exchanging human lives for technology, but because I'm going to take a slight take on this, is just because of UFO crashes, because let's face it, they do, and we've salvaged that tech and we've made it our own.
Possibly reverse engineering. Sure.
Yeah, definitely
possible. But I also think it's very likely that more than one thing exists. I think that is, I'm sure that they do crash. That's possible. And we reverse engineer. But I also think that we've been contacted by aliens for a long time. Like they come here, they talk to our government. And one of the other theories is that we really didn't start to see them or then connect with us or actually talk with us until the atomic bomb. Because then they're like, oh shit, these morons have harnessed the power of the atom. Now we need to go talk to them before they start fucking shit up, because clearly they're just a bunch of monkeys with the ability to harness the power of the atom, but they're not that smart. So we need to go help them because they're morons.
I
Or
don't believe that.
Or which part?
That we're morons.
That we're
Well,
morons.
no, that part
we
I
are.
believe.
Oh, okay.
But I do believe we've been visited by aliens in the past and we've interacted with them. However, not to the extent that you're saying right now. Maybe because of the atom bomb, they've gotten more active with us.
So which part didn't you believe? So which part don't you believe? That they communicate to us?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at through some of the history that we've had encounters and they've communicated with us, but not as much as, let's say, when we discovered the power of the atom. I do believe that you are right in the aspect that now that we've learned how to blow up things with much more ferocity, they're like, oh shit, maybe we should come down and talk to them more and explain.
Why do you think they haven't?
Isn't that what I said?
Yeah, but why wouldn't you think they've contacted us and talked to us? I mean, haven't you seen the movie Men in Black? They probably just flashy thinged you, and now you don't even remember. If they have the ability, they can come talk to us whenever they want to, and then they can erase your memory of it.
No.
I think that any alien, I think that, well, here's more than one thing though. I think that part of it is if we're being visited by aliens, they probably come from different places anyway. There's probably some that come from outer space, but there's also a good likelihood that they're actually interdimensional travelers because they don't necessarily have to go through space like we do. That's just our narrow thinking of things. We're like, oh, well, they had to fly. They have to fly here. No, if they're super advanced, they could probably interdimensionally travel.
Yeah, I think that's probably true too. And
Are you
what about
talking like a multiverse?
Yeah. And what about Mr.
slipping
whatever
between
that
dimensions.
kid that went missing? He could have been abducted by them, taken away for like 4,000 alien years, and then come back, and it was really only a year in people
Yeah, but
time.
he's dead. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but
In people time?
but maybe that's why they couldn't find the body then, because they had him gone, like out of
Well,
our.
if you look at a completely just human explanation for it, I would still say, to me, I'm like, all right, the camp counselors killed him.
And then
so
they
I looked
said
it up.
they searched that area and then didn't find anything.
They had 300 people searching. Swan, pay attention.
Yeah, but maybe they were like, "Oh, I'm going to search this area," because they knew that's
Swan,
where
they
it
had
was.
300 people searching.
You think all 300 people looked in that area? Like the people
They said
who
that
might have
ravine,
been...
that particular ravine, had been searched at least 3 times.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. Like, was it like, "Yep, I searched that area; it's all clear," but it was really there the whole time?
However, let me throw a conspiracy wrench into this. What if it was searched by the same person that murdered that boy?
That's what I just said. And he's like, "Yep, it's all clear. Nothing there. Move on." That's what I said. Yeah.
There would still be more people in that search than just those people. Than just the one person who killed them. They're not just going to send one person to that ravine. Anyway, if you would shut the fuck up, both of you, and let me get to the next point.
Jeez, let him talk.
Here's what's interesting is I did look it up a little bit further. This is about Bobby Bizup. And if you want, you can always look up his Facebook page, which is like Justice for Bobby Bizup. Because recently, as of, I think, last year of 2021, new evidence came forward where somebody apparently they found all of his bones. This is what they say. They found all of his bones except his skull. And some dude had a human skull in a bag in his home that was his father's, who had died, who was a doctor. And he told the guy, hey, yeah, this is the skull of some kid that went missing a long time ago. And why wouldn't you report that, first of all? That seems really bizarre to me. But then I looked to see, they, I guess, exhumed Bobby's remains to see if the skull, they could do the DNA testing on that. But there's no information on whether that ever came back or not. I can't find that anywhere. So we're like, that's been plenty of time to get the information back. So that was kind of interesting. But the doctor was friends with, like, the head priest of that camp.
So maybe there was a little something going on.
Yeah, and then later on, The new evidence came to light that 3 of the camp counselors who were counselors at that camp were later found to be molesters of children, and one of them was the lead counselor on the search.
See? So, yep, we searched that area. It's all clear. Those 4 fucked up people said, yep, all clear. We're obviously covering something up.
Yeah. But
That's
before
sad. Poor Bobby.
before I found that information out, I was like, I was like, all right, alien abduction. Because even if you're 10 years old, let's say there's mountain lions in the area, a mountain lion is not going to drag a 10-year-old that easily. Most mountain lions are not that strong. And apparently, since they started keeping records of mountain lion attacks since like 1916, there haven't been that many confirmed actual mountain lion attacks.
Wasn't that runner guy attacked by a mountain lion? Was it a mountain lion or a bobcat? The runner guy.
What?
That I don't know.
What runner guy?
Recently, like in the past couple
What
years.
runner guy?
He fought off. There was a big news story that he fought off. I think it was either a bobcat or a mountain lion. Aren't they kind of similar?
Fascinating.
I was saying, punched it and beat it up and like ran 10 miles or more.
Yeah, I was just about to further that point before you interrupted me. I was about to say I read an article of a lady beating the shit out of a mountain lion who attacked her and her kid. And she beat the crap out of it, but it bit her like in the skull. But yeah, that's true. Most of the time, those mountain lion attacks are not they're not fatal because humans can kick some mountain lion ass. And apparently mountain lions don't typically attack us unless they're starving.
Oh, well,
and
that's
they
good
think
to
they
know.
can take us. And they think they can take us. But otherwise, they typically don't attack.
I'd be scared as shit if a mountain lion came towards me, but
I'd punch it right in its cat nose.
I would try to beat the shit out of it back. I mean, that would be your only...
Punch it right in the goddamn nose.
Not in the dick?
So that was one case that I thought was interesting. No.
The nose is closer.
Nose is closer.
Good.
But no, so that was... So if you look it up, if you look up this document, it's really pretty good. The guy who did it, but all the time you're watching it, they're like, okay, so what's the reason why they're going missing? It's just a mystery. And you're like, why don't they just say what their theory is behind why these people are going missing instead of just reporting it? And the guy who wrote it is apparently a... Fuck, man.
Oh, sorry. I was going to give my own opinion on why. Maybe
except I'm talking continuously, and I'm about to say it, and you just can't help yourself.
I can't.
Apparently he's a big Bigfoot advocate. And does requests of, Freedom of Information Act requests. And he did one that was like possible like Bigfoot related. So that's what he puts down as like his when he does his requests. Anyway, well, he works on the North American Bigfoot search. So does this guy think that Bigfoot is walking around snatching people?
Maybe. That would be a plausible explanation. But does he think that there's only one Bigfoot, or is there lots of them? Because how could he get all over and over?
He just thinks there's one.
Well, I mean...
Yeah, he takes the metro to wherever he needs to go. He rides, he has his own private plane.
Yeah, because there's multiple national parks, and they're such a great distance apart. But yet Bigfoot covers all of them. Just one Bigfoot.
Maybe he goes interdimensional.
Ooh, throwing it back at the Beaveman.
Yeah.
And he's how old?
Well, as the swan
says, Bobby was missing in 1958, so...
Maybe his lifespan is longer than ours.
And or maybe there's more than one. If you're going to believe in Bigfoot, wouldn't you believe there's more than one?
Probably. There's more than one Batman.
If they're interdimensional travels, like the swan mentioned, maybe time moves slower.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
You two may be the stupidest human beings I've ever met.
Believe it or not, B-Man.
No, I
usually on the weekends. Okay, on the weekends.
I believe it, actually.
Little Powder Donut watches this crap constantly.
Why would I not believe it?
I said, believe it or not. I didn't give you an option.
Why would I not?
I mean, we believe you. We believe
that
she watches it.
There are more than, and I'm going to back you up here. There have been more than sightings of more than one Bigfoot. I guess there are many out there.
I'm not shocked by that. I'm just shocked at how dumb the swan's question was. Does he believe there's just one Bigfoot?
Shut up.
I'm not. Because,
believes there's just one.
The Bigfoot is
That's why his
still
name's
the hide and
Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Well, let's face it, the Bigfoot is still the champion of hide and seek because no one can find him or her for that matter, or the family.
Like a
So,
little baby Bigfoot. It would be
yeah,
so
a little big.
cute.
Yeah.
Well, you can't find them because they're not from here. That's
Where
why
are
you
they
can't
from
find
then?
them.
Where are they from?
Like I said,
Poughkeepsie,
they're
Poughkeepsie, New York.
interdimensional travelers.
Hmm.
That's why you can't find them. They don't want to be found. They might just pop in for vacation. Who knows?
Sort of like the predator comes down every so often from the movie and goes on a hunting spree and then goes away.
Yeah, unless he gets his ass handed to him.
Yes, I agree.
So there's all kinds of fun little stories that you can read on that. I would highly recommend people watch the documentary, though. I'd like to pull apart a few of them because they're really fun. Some of them are really sad, but here's the one that I thought that was most interesting. Let me find it for you here. Here we go. This is the strange case of Keith Parkins in Ritter, Oregon. On April 10th, 1952, 2-year-old Keith Parkins was playing with his older brothers on a cattle ranch in Ritter, Oregon. Or Oregon, whichever you like. If you're a listener from Oregon, or Oregon, please let us know how you pronounce it. While playing near a barn on the property, his older brothers headed back for lunch, leaving Keith at the barn. When his mother realized Keith hadn't returned with his brothers, they headed for the barn to find him. To their shock, Keith had vanished without a trace. 2 years old! Here's the timeline of events. 4/10/1952 at 12 p.m., lunchtime, Wednesday. Edna, Alan, Keith, and his 2 older brothers were visiting Edna's parents in Ritter, Oregon, around Easter. The property they were visiting was a cattle ranch, and the surrounding area could be considered cattle land. Edna described the conditions that day as cold with patches of snow on the ground. Keith and his older brothers had gone to the barn to see a new calf, because that's what the kind of entertainment they had back in the day. When Edna called the boys back to the house for lunch, the 2 older boys came back, but not Keith. When his brothers were asked what happened to Keith, they said, "Oh, he went around the barn." So Edna and the brothers headed back to the barn to look for Keith, and when they got to the barn, Keith was gone, with no trace of where he went. Same day, afternoon. Realizing Keith was gone, a search started within hours. Edna noted that it wasn't organized like a modern search and rescue team, because it was back in the day. But the initial people searching knew that they were doing. They started a line of people spreading out with speaking distance and started searching. At the peak of their search, it was estimated that over 200 people were in the field searching for Keith, and the search continued through the night and into the morning. 2 years old, Oregon, cattle country, mountainous. Snow. He's 2. 4/10/1952, evening to night. At some point in the search, around 3 miles from where Keith was last seen, searchers found footprints that walked through a herd of cattle.
Were
Outside
they
of these
little baby
tracks,
footprints?
little baby, yes, clearly they were his, yes.
Little baby footprints.
3 miles from where he was last seen. Outside of these tracks, no other clues were found on Keith's disappearance. 4/11/1952, 7 a.m. the next day. Around 7 a.m. on the next day, a searcher found Keith, face down, in the snow, with his hat and his coat beside him. His face had been scratched pretty bad, according to his mother, and his clothing was also ripped up. And he was alive. He
Oh,
was
at least he
found
didn't get dead. That's good.
12 miles from where he was seen. 2 years
That's
old.
crazy.
It's also, I say, not possible. He covered 12 miles as a 2-year-old. It's 8 miles as the crow flies. In other words, he had to go up. He had to cross several barbed wire fences because they were able to not retrace, but basically walk a path that they think that he would have gone. He would have had to cross several barbed wire fences. He was 2 years old. He covered 12 miles in 19 hours.
Sign that
And
kid
when
up
he
for
was-
American race.
And when he was finally back to somewhat normal, they asked him what happened. He didn't remember anything else but about the scratches on his face. And he said, "Oh, the cat scratched me."
Hmm. The
And so
big alien
their
cat.
theory, I guess part of their theory is that some large cat dragged him through the night 12 miles.
I feel like that's not even plausible, because if it was going to drag him, what did they think it was, like a baby cat and it was going to take him with them somewhere? Or, I mean, if it was going to kill him, why wouldn't they just kill him where he was?
Exactly.
So
I think it's more likely that this child was picked up by an alien or Bigfoot or something else, taken 12 miles, and because their timeline is different than ours, or what they do differently is different, they probably did all kinds of pokey experiments on him and then dropped him back. Him being the lucky one, because most of the time you just die. But because he was face down in the cold, your metabolic rate slows down, so he was probably able to survive a little while. But you also have to remember the hypothermia sets in quite quickly. So he should have been dead unless he was dropped just before they got there.
that's probably plausible. And they didn't kill him because he was a baby. They're like, he ain't going to remember anything. He's just a baby.
Let's just probe him, scratch his face, and drop him.
Or maybe the cat really did scratch him. Like, maybe there was a mountain lion, bobcat, some kind of cat that came by and thought, like, pawed at him to see if what it was. Smell a scent of something and checked if it was something edible or not.
Or
Yeah, but why would his clothes be right next to him?
The aliens put it there.
Yeah, I mean, so he got drugged by a cat. The cat was like, "Oh, let's leave this kid in the snow. Let's pull his hat off, his shoe off,
the cat didn't take his
off, and
clothes
put it
off.
next to him."
But maybe the kid got delirious and took his own clothes off, because
Yeah.
all those people that go missing and in like national parks and stuff, the ones that do survive, they're like, yeah, we were so hot, we took our clothes off, and they find their stuff like hours away from them because they got so hot and dehydrated that they thought it was a good idea to take their stuff off, and they did.
In the snow, this kid
I
decided
don't
to take
know.
his clothes off. You had the rational thought at 2 years old. He's like, "Oh, I'm cold. Let me take my clothes off.
He might have been smarter
But
than the
let me
average
carry
bear.
them with me and put them next to me as I lay down, face down in the snow."
Yeah, why not?
No. I agree with you. He was abducted by aliens for sure. Either that or how old were the brothers?
Like 3 and 4, like not old at all.
Why the fuck were the parents letting them stay out in the
Because this
barn
is
by themselves?
1952.
Like, go on, go play,
That's
kids.
not uncommon.
Go,
It's
like,
not uncommon.
that's
Yes.
terrible parenting. Like,
It's also
I
actually
mean,
not for the time. Not for the time. It's not terrible.
I
Today it
agree
would
with
be
the
terrible.
Beaveman. And
Today
if you
it would
grew
be
up on
terrible parenting.
And if you grew up on a farm, that's the way it was. In fact, that's how it is still today. Go out and play. Don't bother me. Just don't get into trouble.
Yeah, my guess would be the oldest brother was probably like 5. I saw pictures of all 3 of them. I'm like, maybe 5. Maybe they're probably like 5, 4, and him 2. I don't know. Not old. That's not common. That's not uncommon for little kids to go run off and play. That was the old days. It's not common now. Now it would be bad parenting. Now it would be considered child endangerment.
It is in our neighborhood. I was running the other day and saw 4 little kids.
You did not see a 2-year-old.
Well, the youngest one was probably 2. There was probably, I know that the kid gets off the bus for kindergarten because the 3 other children
that's not 4.
The 3 other children are not in school because they walk to the bus stop. So 5 and under are all out there playing in the road.
So this brings up the question, why are you stalking these kids?
I wasn't. I was running. And I've seen it happen. I've seen them out there playing outside. And the other day, I ran 7 miles and they were outside.
What does this have to do with anything?
Bad parenting.
It sounds like you're just stalking these kids.
Yeah.
What's amazing to me is I'm talking to you guys about this, but you can't seem to stay on the topic at hand.
No, I'm listening. I'm not commenting.
I'm just going to be quiet.
I'm weighing in every so often, but I understand where you're going with this. I really do.
This is the least interesting conversation I've ever had with you two.
Well,
you
Ronz, really need to comment. You guys really need to talk.
First of all, you're asking me, what do I think of this? And every time
what do you think?
So what may have happened is that the child may have wandered off through, let's say he's small enough to slip through the barbed wire fences, because a toddler can slip between that. So if he's walking or getting dragged, he could actually slip through that. And most bobcats right? Animals, wild animals there know how to avoid fences. They're smart enough to understand where the fence line is, or if they get caught, they know how to get free. As far as the clothes off, maybe it's a routine that late at night, if he's 2 years old, he gets undressed, gets in pajamas, and he goes to sleep. That is the only theory I can think of is why his clothes or his hat and his stuff would be off. That would be it. I tend to also agree with what you're saying that, yeah, it's cold out. Why would you take that off?
So how did he get 12 miles away though?
I just said that. He may have wandered and slipped through. I honestly, can a 2-year-old cover a 12-mile area? Honestly, I don't know.
No.
You're saying no,
I mean,
there's a
can
slight
you? How long
possibility.
would it take you to walk 12 miles
About 5
with
minutes.
big feet? 5 minutes? Yeah,
5
no.
minutes. No, I don't know. I really don't. It would take me quite probably a bit of time. Was the kid dragged? Possibly. There was no mention of drag marks anywhere, but if it was mud and raining or whatever, the snow or snowing or whatever, it could have been covered up just as easily. I don't know. I don't have an answer. I haven't seen the scene. Beaveman's the only one that's done any research on this, so I can't really answer intelligently of what.
12 miles at a fast pace will take you 4 hours
All right, fair enough.
as an adult. Taking
As an
adult-sized
toddler?
steps in a straight route with a clear destination, 4 hours.
And
As a
not
toddler
including
that
snow.
wanders around, doesn't have a straight line idea of where they're going or anything, there's no
I
way
agree.
a 2-year-old is going to cover 12 miles
Unless
in 19 hours.
unless he was He-Man riding Battle Cat. That would be it. That's my only wild theory. I don't have one.
I mean,
Really
first
not.
of all, 2-year-olds are not super focused. So I don't even think you could get a 2-year-old to walk around a neighborhood twice without really wanting to take a nap. That's 2 miles. And how long would that take? 2 miles. My
Probably a
guess
half
would
an
be
hour at least,
no,
or longer.
it's longer than that. To get a 2-year-old, have you ever tried to
Yeah.
walk a 2-year-old a mile?
Well, I mean, yeah, no.
A
A
4-year-old,
3-year-old.
yeah.
Yeah.
4-year-old, 2-year-old, no.
So probably a good hour. Let's
And
go
if
with
it's a
the
true
hour.
toddler, first of all, I would not think that a toddler would make it more than, I would say, 500 feet from home, because you're gonna find them playing in the dirt. They're gonna be doing stuff like playing with turds, eating dandelions, whacking sticks on stuff. They just have no focus. That's what it means to be a human child. They don't focus on anything, and especially a boy. What's he gonna be
Yeah.
focused on? Nothing. You got no focus.
Something happened to him. He didn't just wander away, for sure.
Well, as of the making of the documentary, he was still alive. He showed everybody his little bib overalls he was wearing and his shirt and his shoe. And yeah, he doesn't remember what happened because he was 2.
So now he's an adult. Can we find him?
I
Like,
literally just said that
he-
as of the
he's
making of the
alive.
documentary,
Yeah.
he's still
Yeah.
alive.
So okay. So that's
So
it.
what's your
Like,
question?
stories ended. Like, maybe he should have some psychology analysis to see if they can take back his repressed memories and see if he remembers anything.
Yeah, because that is so typically an exact science where people actually have accurate memories. You know how many times all those big molestation cases and the satanic panic were all just implanted memories and not real
Yeah.
memories?
I do think that that's what happened with that stuff. Yeah. So I was just kidding.
No, I don't think you were kidding. I think you were actually. I think you were.
Yep, I was serious.
You're
Yep, I totally
serious.
was. I was. Yep.
But if you're out there, Keith Perkins, if you're still alive, good on you, bro. But we know you were abducted or something. Either that. Here's another theory. Maybe he traveled interdimensionally.
Maybe.
And that's how he got where he was. And that's why he didn't freeze to death. Maybe he was able to slip between the dimensions. Or he had some assistance. Slipping.
Could have.
What do you think about that, Ronz? Are you able, do you believe in that whole interdimensional thing?
I do. going back to the science of things, I'm a firm believer that there is so much out there that we don't know. And I know it sounds rather cliche. However, when you really think about what's on the other side of a black hole, and there's theories, and you watch some of these ghost shows and they talk about interdimensional beings, abductions, visiting, whatever. Yeah, it's easy to make fun of it, but what do we truly understand about it? And I mean, if it's possible,
Well, I mean, nothing. We
yeah,
don't
I
understand
understand
anything
that
about
too,
interdimensional.
but if it's possible, do certain people already possess that, let's say, technology or ability to slide interdimensionally? I mean, would you share that? If you could do that, B-Man, would you share that idea, that knowledge that you could do
Hell
it?
no.
There you go. So that's possible. Another reason that it happens. It's like, why would I want to share that? If I can get away from people or move faster to wherever I want to go, I wouldn't share that. It'd be
Well,
fun.
so maybe that is what happened to Keith, and maybe he explained it, the big cat. Maybe that he's a 2-year-old. Maybe that was what helped him. Maybe it was a cat from outer space, or what
I'm
he
thinking it
thought,
might have been Battle Cat.
looked like a cat or something.
Could have been a
Bigfoot. I
Battle
mean, you
Cat.
could think
Telling you.
Bigfoot would look like a cat, maybe if
Could
you
have
were
been a
2.
humanoid cat,
Maybe.
Like Lion-O or Chitara.
right? That's possible. I think or maybe he still knows how to travel interdimensionally and he's just not telling everybody, like LeBron said. Maybe he has harnessed that power himself. And so he keeps sticking to his old memory of like, oh yeah, people just tell me I said it was a cat.
Maybe.
I don't know what happened. Wink, wink. Is that the
Mhm.
deal? Is that the deal, Keith?
Yeah. Yeah,
You don't
Keith,
want to
tell
tell everybody
us.
what's going on? I just think it's interesting that people can disappear immediately. How do they disappear immediately? Here's another interesting story. This is the story of Sammy Bulkey. Sammy Bulkey. Boehlke went missing from the Crater Lake National Park. This one's really scary. So the boy and his father had stopped to play tag on a cinder slope where Sammy saw some yellow he hoped might be gold. As darkness approached and his dad walked a short distance to the car so the two could return to their rented cabin near Diamond Lake, Sammy stayed on the slope, refusing to come down. So Kenneth, his father, chased up after him, but Sammy, likely thinking it was a game, stayed 50 feet ahead. He never caught up to him, and he never saw him again.
So, how old was Sammy?
Oh, 8 or 10. Let me see.
Okay.
Yeah, 8.
That's
50
creepy.
feet in front of his father, disappeared, never found him again.
Like,
Where did he go?
Yeah. That's a little crazy. So, and no ending to this one? Like, they didn't find his body somewhere years
Nope.
later? Or,
Nope.
so he's still missing?
Yep.
Okay.
Slipped into a hole, man. Into a hole, into another dimension, possibly. I mean, if you immediately search in that area, how far is an 8-year-old going to go? And if you're yelling for him and calling for him, you should be able to find him.
And I
And he's
feel
not going
like
to continue to
he
hide
could use
because
his
it
dad
becomes
voice. Yeah. And like,
because there comes a point in time where you're like, all right, we're not fucking around anymore. Where are you?
Yeah. I don't know. That's a little creepy.
Yeah, the search force quickly increased to more than 200 people combing an area of about 6 square miles or 4,000 acres. For a week, searchers scoured the area with dogs, helicopters, heat-sensing cameras, but no trace of the boy was ever found.
That's pretty crazy. Like, you would think dogs would be able to find him or any of that stuff, but that's a little crazy.
No.
So,
And if you watch the documentary, it's really cool. They've got some search and rescue people on there that talk about all the weird, all the search and rescues they've been on. And they were talking about one where they went off to this 2-year-old went missing, a toddler.
mhm.
And they were wandering, trying to find him. They had the dogs going and everything like that. And then they said the dogs started acting kind of strange, like letting out a sound that might mean that they were scared of something. and it was a misty area. It was like dark, and all of a sudden, this toddler came walking out of the mist naked.
Creepy. So the dogs probably have some sense of creepiness that humans don't have. Like, obviously dogs do, but
Yeah, they always say that
yeah.
about dogs, especially with the Bigfoot people like to say that about dogs, that the dogs will go crazy when Bigfoot's around.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that when a child goes missing is what was the father's background like? Because they usually investigate the parents to make sure that there was, nothing going on. Like, my child disappeared. Please believe me. All right. And then they investigate the parents to make sure that the parents telling the truth, or this wasn't a custody dispute or anything like that. So what they discover about the father, or the sorry about that,
Well, on this one, there's a couple. If you see the documentary, or if you read any of the articles or whatever, there was apparently a cyclist there at the same time that watched the kid run up into the woods, and the father run after him, and that was the last they saw him. So it immediately happened that there was there was a witness that saw him.
So obviously the dad's not killing the kid in front of the cyclist.
Yeah.
That's weird. So I want to hear, like, the 2-year-old that came back. Did that 2-year-old have any memories of anything?
They didn't say a name or anything on that one. That was just this search and rescue person telling the story. They didn't say who it was or anything like that.
Because I think those are kind of interesting. Like, if anybody does have those experiences, what would they say? Like, or do they remember anything
Well,
from?
I think what's really interesting, if we're thinking about aliens and interdimensional beings and Bigfoot and all that other stuff, why are they picking? They seem to pick these really young kids that are not going to have any memory. Or they brought up this other point in the documentary saying that it seems like this happens a lot more to people who are disabled in some way, which I thought was, I don't know if I buy that, but like the kid with the hearing aids, he was nearly, I think they said completely deaf. And this other kid, this Sammy that missing, he was autistic. So like, maybe. But I think the young kid thing is far more interesting because they're not going to remember. So if you pick them up, what do they remember?
Well, and maybe the disabled or autistic or any of those things, maybe they want to study all forms of human. So they have to have, I mean, pretty sure there's probably plenty of non-disabled people that get abducted too, but they need a collection of everything.
Ooh, I like a broad sample. That's pretty interesting
Or
theory
maybe
there.
they think like that, though, the people who are differently abled are the hybrids, because there's a whole
Differently
bunch
able
of
how?
autistic, deaf, blind, whatever, just not normal. So they
So
got
the
to
air
have a good,
quotes come out normal.
yeah.
Well, I wonder if I go back to that whole alien deal with the government. I wonder if that the Earth is actually split into zones. Like this group of aliens gets this zone. This group of aliens gets this zone. Like national parks. Okay, this group of aliens get national parks. Like the Bigfoot
So
aliens, you get national parks.
that's
The
that's
grays, you get farmlands. The
that's
reptilians, you get the
that's an
oceans.
interesting theory. However, that's going to piss off the flat earthers because there's only two sides to the planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't
So
care
the
about pissing
bottom.
off the flat earthers. I also don't care about pissing off the hollow earthers
Yeah.
because as we all know, that's where aliens actually come from the hollow earth.
So, with that said, what about the Bermuda Triangle? Because some people theorize that that's an alien base because there have been so many disappearances. Do you believe in
So
that?
maybe that's a different zone. That's a different jurisdiction.
Jurisdiction.
Well, because I'm
So like Men in
specifically
Black,
talking.
yeah.
Well, because like I said, I'm specifically talking about these disappearances from national parks. And what's really interesting is the federal government doesn't keep detailed records of how many people go missing in national parks.
That's how are they able to do that? I thought there's like a thing for national parks, like a register.
There
Like you
isn't.
have to get. Then why do they make you get passes to go into national parks? Like you have to pay and they take your license number, or that like you have a park registration when you go. Like if you go to Arizona and you go to the national parks there, you have to have a camping permit or any of those things to be there. So
what does that
there
have
is
to
a
do with
record.
them? A registry existing of all the people that have gone missing in national parks.
Well, I know the one in Arizona, the Grand Canyon has one.
What does that have to do with there not being a registry of all the people that have gone missing in national
There
parks?
is in Arizona, there is a registry of everybody who's gone missing or dead or had near death
However,
events.
and I'm going to chime in here, however, you don't have to register to go to these parks. You can simply wander in at your own leisure. And let's face it, they're not roped off, they're not fenced off. If you want to wander into a national park, you can without anybody noticing you. So if you disappear,
if you want to go missing, go to a national park. Apparently,
yeah, but
that's what you're saying.
However, if you're going to disappear, no one's going to know. How many times? I mean, how many times have you been hiking and you've wandered into a different part of the area without even knowing about it?
It's kind of hard to wander into the Grand Canyon, by the way.
No, but you can basically, the Grand Canyon is massive, but you don't have to check in on a park in an area to go into it. You can actually get into the Grand Canyon without being noticed.
As of 2018, 2016, 2019, there is no centralized databases of people going missing in federal national parks.
Okay, well, that's dumb.
That doesn't mean that the park doesn't have a list of how many people, but there is no national database.
Okay.
And they asked the Department of the Interior person on that documentary, and he said no, there isn't one.
Well, I guess then why would there have to be one? There doesn't have to be, I guess. I mean, it would be something nice to know.
I mean, it's a smart idea to tell people where you're going in case something happens to you, but not a lot of people do that anyway. They just say, I'm going to go camping for the weekend.
I think my point is why is there no national registry of all the people that have gone missing? That's my point. Why doesn't the federal government have a registry of the people that have gone missing?
I think there is
Maybe that's part of the deal with the aliens.
No, I think there is a registry, but not a national registry. If you think about it, if people gone missing, it goes through local agencies. It doesn't have to be kicked up to the federal agencies.
Except the national parks are run by the federal government.
However, you're not listening to the point. I didn't mention national parks. I said if they go missing. But if they go missing,
that's not what I'm focusing on. That's not what I'm talking about.
No, I understand what you're saying.
I get Ron's saying if you were from Michigan and you went to X national park wherever it was and you're missing, Michigan is responsible for keeping track of you or finding you, even if you went missing at national park in
neither one
Arizona.
of you are thinking at a conspiracy angle.
I know, but I'm just saying. But I now see your part. You're saying that the federal government's deal with the aliens was we're not going to track this shit because if we do, then we can't, there's paper trail of our deal that we made with you to you take all the people that you want from, or X amount of people per year from national parks. So if we just don't write it down, what's not charted is not done. Right? That's what you're saying. No documentation equals we don't know about it. Swept under
no accurate number.
Right.
Please keep coming to the parks. So what if the number of people that actually go disappearing or go become missing is way higher than we think it is? What if it's just a harvesting ground for the others to conduct their experiments and take us?
And why is it just national parks?
That's those people's jurisdiction, or those aliens.
That's their area.
That's their area. So if you're going missing on the ocean, that might belong to some other group of aliens.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Like the Atlanteans. There you go.
I was going to mention that.
And this whole group gets Canada. I mean, right?
Who gets abducted from Canada?
Probably plenty of people, but you might not know about it because
they were at band camp one summer. We don't know.
That's where your girlfriend was.
Exactly.
She got abducted, never saw her again.
Well, anyway, I probably just need to find like-minded people who are interested in talking about conspiracies and stuff to have an actual conversation with.
I'm interested in it.
Ronz is sleeping.
No, I am not. I'm listening.
To not fall into conspiracy, but trying to rationalize it, which is no fun. So
Okay, well,
When it comes down
my
to
brain isn't conspiracy. My brain wants facts.
I agree with the Swan there, right? We try to put things into neat little compartments that we can understand, and we can't. We try even harder to do that. Now, I am a big UFO fan. I have followed Project Blue Book for a long time, ever since I was a teenager. But this isn't about me analyzing and breaking things down. That's no fun, because I can get all serious about this subject.
Well, then let's get serious, Ronz. Let's hear your
nope,
serious.
too late.
Nope, too late.
Podcast is over.
Well,
We'll try again
Podcast
next
is
week.
over. I tried to pull stuff out of you guys for
No.
an hour, so now
No,
I don't know a lot
I
about
listen to
aliens
you.
Now
because
time's up.
aliens
No,
creep me the fuck out. I don't want to talk about. I don't want to know about them. They're scary, and I don't like their creepy little eyes, big old creepy alien faces.
I didn't feel like
That's
interrupting
just
you because you
stereotyping.
get upset every time I
It
do.
is
And you knew more about this subject than I did. You really did.
Well,
You've done
I was
the
only
research.
briefly telling you guys some stuff. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read about this myself and just find one person at a time, and then I'll have a little thing, and then I'll have to pick my own cast members that I want to have on with me.
So
if
when
you
it
want to
comes,
be Beavesman's friend and talk about alien conspiracies, please.
I'm
write
all
in,
about
folks.
that.
Not you, Ron.
Yeah, and if you want to do it in a fun way, please contact us at slaptailsquad@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook at Slaptail Squad or Slaptail Nation. You can also find us on Instagram. You can actually Twitter me also. I'll get to it eventually. And that way we can actually have a fun little conversation about it, and I won't have to drag stuff out of you just for you to say anything. Well, listeners of the Slaptail Squad, if you want to see some really kooky stuff and some interesting stuff, and like I said, now I think there are no unsolved mysteries. I'm just going to chalk it up to aliens, Bigfoot, not so much Mothman, because he just warns you of stuff. He's not a bad guy. I think that, or black holes, interdimensional travel. I think that that's actually what's happening. I think that's what happened to the 2-year-old that was found, because Keith, good old Keith, that you should probably contact us, Keith, so that we can talk to you, and then you can let us know how you interdimensionally travel, because I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Pretty sure that's what happened.
Before you die, Keith. Share it with us before you die.
So,
yeah, I'd like
tell
to
your
do
secret.
That. I think
I'd also like to know about, as long as we're talking about the this conspiracy theory, is like, why don't psychics ever tell people what's going to happen?
Because psychics are fake, and they're bullshit.
Are they now?
Yes, their theories are bullshit.
How do you know they're fake?
Because anybody can do a psychic reading. Oh, I see you're gonna have a problem sometime in the near future.
Oh, I think that you've lost someone in the past.
You've lost someone. Okay. Yes, you're gonna spend a large sum of money. Like everybody, that's normal life shit. And you then as soon as you're like, "Ooh, yeah," then they feed on that and they're like, "You've lost someone great."
Well, I agree.
Oh, yeah, my aunt. Yeah, she was a great woman. And like you can go on.
I
and
agree
on
there are con people out there, but what about the people that have a true psychic ability? Does it exist?
The people that have true psychic ability don't flaunt it and or
exploit themselves with it. Yeah.
It's kind of like the people who travel interdimensionally. They're not telling people how they do it.
Yeah, Keith.
That's why we don't. That's why there's wizards out there. We don't get to see them do anything either.
Yep.
Wizards.
Yeah.
What do you know of wizards?
Save it for another podcast, Ronz. Yeah, they don't share their secrets. They're keeping it to themselves.
All right. Well, thanks for this really cool documentary. It's called Missing 411. You can watch it for free on YouTube. It was released in 2017, I think. 2017? Yeah. Release date 2017. But yeah, you can watch it for free. It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. He never comes out and says, I think Bigfoot did it. He never comes out and says, I think aliens did it. But there's some pretty cool stories in there. So if you guys are interested, check it out. And then send me a message. Let me know what you thought of it and what your questions are. And then I'll find a fun group of people to talk with about it. All right. Well, that's it for me, the Beaveman. I do really appreciate all of you joining us. I'm sorry that I want to kill Swan and Ronz. Actually, I'm not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. But that's it for me, the Beaveman. Adios, mooch fuckos.
Bye from the Swan.
And from the Ronz. Please email your conspiracy theories, your ideas to the Beaveman. Thank you. And stay safe out there. Hey.